Your fat does not disappear when you lose weight. It doesn't melt, it doesn't turn into muscle, it shrinks. And today, we're going inside your body, down to a single fat cell, to see exactly how that happens. The misunderstanding. Most people think fat loss is about sweating, or burning calories, or cutting carbs, but none of those explain what physically happens inside your body. If you lose 10 kilograms of fat, where does it go? It has mass. It can't just vanish. So let's zoom inside. Inside fat tissue. Fat tissue is made of fat cells called adipocytes. Each adipocyte is like a small storage balloon. Inside it is stored energy in the form of triglycerides. A triglyceride is made of one glycerol molecule, 3 fatty acids. When you consistently eat more energy than your body uses, insulin signals these cells to store energy. The fat cell expands. Not because fat is evil, because your body is efficient. Fat is stored survival energy. What makes fat cells grow? After a meal, especially when high in carbohydrates or fats, blood glucose rises. Insulin rises. Insulin activates enzymes like lipoprotein lipase. These enzymes help move fatty acids into fat cells. Inside the adipocyte, they are reassembled into triglycerides and stored. The cell swells. Over time, repeated energy surplus leads to enlarged fat cells, hypertrophy, and sometimes increased fat cell number. That's weight gain at the cellular level. The turning point. Fat cells begin to shrink only when the body needs energy. This happens when you create a calorie deficit, you increase activity, you reduce insulin levels, energy demand exceeds supply. This is the only condition under which fat cells release stored fuel, not because of a fat-burning food, not because of sweating, because of energy demand. Hormonal signal shift. When energy demand rises, insulin decreases. At the same time, hormones like glucagon, adrenaline, epinephrine, noradrenaline increase. These hormones activate an enzyme inside fat cells called hormone-sensitive lipase. This is the switch. Hormone-sensitive lipase breaks down triglycerides. This process is called lipolysis. Source: LaFontaine and Langen 2009, Lipid Mobilization and Hormonal Control of Lipolysis in White Adipocytes. Lipolysis, the breakdown. Inside the fat cell, triglyceride makes glycerol plus 3 fatty acids. These fatty acids exit the fat cell and enter the bloodstream. Now the fat cell is slightly smaller, but the fatty acids are not gone yet. They must be used. If they are not oxidized, they can be restored. This is where most people misunderstand fat loss. Transport through the blood. The fatty acids bind to albumin in the blood. They travel to tissues that need energy, skeletal muscle, heart, liver, but they can only be burned if those tissues have high energy demand. If you are sedentary and overfed, they may cycle back. Fat loss requires oxidation, not just release. Inside the muscle cell. Inside muscle cells are mitochondria. Mitochondria are energy factories. Fatty acids enter the mitochondria through a transport system involving carnitine. Inside, they undergo beta oxidation. Beta oxidation breaks fatty acids into smaller units called acetyl-CoA. Acetyl-CoA enters the Krebs cycle. Electrons move through the electron transport chain. ATP is produced. Energy is created. Source: Frayne 2010. Fat as a fuel. Emerging understanding of the adipocyte skeletal muscle axis. Where the fat actually goes. This is critical. When fatty acids are oxidized, the carbon atoms combine with oxygen. They form carbon dioxide. You breathe it out. Research from Meerman and Brown 2014 BMJ. When 10 kilograms of fat is lost, about 8.4 kilograms leaves as carbon dioxide. About 1.6 kilograms becomes water. You exhale most of your fat. It doesn't melt. It becomes CO2. That's the biochemical reality. Why fat cells don't disappear? Fat cells shrink. They rarely disappear. Even after significant weight loss, most adipocytes remain. They are simply smaller. This explains why regaining weight is easy. The storage balloons are still bare. If energy surplus returns, they refill. This is why extreme dieting fails long term. It shrinks cells rapidly, but if habits revert, refill happens quickly. Why crash diets backfire? When calorie restriction is too aggressive, thyroid hormones decrease, leptin drops, hunger increases, metabolic rate decreases. The body senses threat. It reduces energy expenditure. Fat cell shrinkage slows. Your body prioritizes survival. Sustainable deficits maintain hormonal balance better. Role of resistance training. Muscle is metabolically active tissue. Resistance training preserves lean mass, increases insulin sensitivity, improves mitochondrial function. More muscle equals greater energy demand. Greater demand equals more fatty acid oxidation. Without resistance training, muscle loss can occur during dieting. Less muscle equals lower metabolic rate, which slows fat cell shrinkage. Role of daily movement. Non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Neat. Walking, standing.
standing, moving. These small activities increase total daily energy expenditure. Consistent low-level demand signals fat cells repeatedly. Small signals compound. Shrinkage becomes sustainable. Role of sleep. Poor sleep increases cortisol. Chronic cortisol elevation can increase appetite, promote fat storage, reduce insulin sensitivity. Sleep regulates leptin and ghrelin. Sleep protects fat oxidation efficiency. Fat cell shrinkage depends on hormonal stability. One clear idea reinforced. Fat cells shrink when energy demand greater than energy supply, and fatty acids are oxidized, and hormones support release. Fat loss is cellular energy management, not detox, not sweat, not magic. Energy demand. Fat cells smaller. Energy used. Carbon dioxide exhaled. System complete. Fat loss is not mysterious. It is biochemical. Practical application. If you want fat cells to shrink, mild calorie deficit, resistance training 2 to 4 times per week, daily walking, 7 to 8 hours sleep, stress management. These maintain hormonal signals that support lipolysis and oxidation, not extreme restriction, sustainable demand. Your fat is not the enemy, it is stored energy. When you create consistent demand, your body releases and uses it. The biology is predictable, the system works when you work with it. Now that you understand how fat cells shrink, the next question is, why do some people lose belly fat slower than others? In the next video, we're going deeper, inside stress hormones and abdominal fat receptors, to explain why belly fat is more stubborn. Because not all fat cells behave the same, and that changes everything. Subscribe. We're building this from the inside out.